everybody, Beth here from Access Paranormal for this week's I Want to Know, which is all about spirit respect and when is too far too far. Now, before I go along on my rant, feel free to use the comment section below here in Facebook and also when it's posted up on YouTube as well. This was a really interesting topic due to the fact that it had a lot of heated responses. There are a lot of paranormal investigators that really are into, wanting to know, or have a lot of respect for a lot of what they do and the fact that, people who have passed on. So hypothetically, ghosts don't exist, we get it. But, if someone's passed on, then if you're going to, you're not going to go to someone and go, be really abusive to them and be horrible to them, that's going to make them want to talk to you. So, hi, Gary. Hi, Sam. So, yeah, it's a really interesting topic, like I mentioned before, and one that's quite hotly debated as well. This question actually came through from someone who had allegedly watched a video that had a group of people. I think they may have been outside, I don't know, but they were in a particular spot, had allegedly haunted sort of activity going on, and there was a lot of abusive language used. There was farting going on. Now, I'm not adverse to the odd fart joke, trust me, but there is a time and place, of course, as that as well. So this kind of stuff was going on. They'd seen this and thought, like, this is wrong. Why are people doing this? It's really disrespectful. And I can kind of understand that. So, yeah, I get it. It's good. So that's I can understand the discomfort. I can understand why. Like I said, a lot of groups are very, very intent with, or very, very passionate about being very respectful to the spirit world, and very strong lines drawn when it comes to trying to communicate. I know a lot of groups in the States as well are very much almost anti-provoking. They won't even go down that path. So again, I'll talk a little bit later as well about the difference between a sort of abusive language and provoking language as well. It is very different. There is distinct difference to that. Hi Ben, how are you? So there's there's a difference there too. A lot of groups also will be so strong about it that they will have a certain code of ethics about it too. So they will actually have it in there, or they might have it in their mission statement that they only will ever be respectful communication with entities, as opposed to kind of throwing it all out on the table and going gung-ho for it as well. Hi Nicole, it has been a while, lovely. So I feel like I'm in Romper Room sometimes. I'm like, oh, there's Jenny and there's blah blah. It's really weird, very surreal. So back to it. So some will use code of ethics and have it in there as well. Like I mentioned before, there is a big difference between using abusive language and provoking. So the first thing is with that group of people, I wouldn't call that investigating. That's not investigating. That's just kicking back and just, letting it be. There's no method, there's no reasoning behind it except just being annoying. Hi Tamo, how are you? Oh, hey Tori, how are you, sweetheart? So that would be the first thing as well. As I said, that's not investigating. That's just letting off steam. I wouldn't even call it ghost hunting either. It's not even that as well. It's just people hanging in a park. So I wouldn't take it to heart too much. It's not necessarily what most of us would do. Also as well, you've got to think about the reasonings why. Like, firstly, why would somebody want to do that? It's like, the people that you investigate with, would they kind of behave that way? Then you're probably not with the right kinds of people. I personally, wouldn't. I think there's a very, very different. I'm good. Hope you're well. Thanks, mate. I personally wouldn't. Again, I said it's not investigating. It's kind of more of a bit of an excuse to just kind of kick back. Now, again, I said there are different scenarios with that. With abuse has got a very different intent. It's intent and location that will really drive the type of questioning in an investigation. So you've got, if people want to be abusive, their intent is not to try and find answers. It's just to be an a-hole. Like someone had said recently to me, it's not like provoking or being abusive in an investigation is a therapy session, like there are therapists for that kind of stuff. But this would be, you don't want to have to, it's not a nice thing to do. Abusive, their intent is very nasty. It's not a good thing for someone to hear, or a nice thing to someone to hear, and your reasons for doing it aren't great. The difference with that compared to provoking, though, is where it's more of a, I guess you say it's a goading, isn't it, really? It's more of a, come and talk to me kind of stuff, but in a very, very aggressive way. You can even use provoking and not even actually put a swear word in it anyway. You don't even have to kind of do that kind of stuff. Hi Martine, how are you? So there's that as well. So that's the biggest difference there. I have provoked in the past. I know that's been a I want to know topic here, and that has had some interesting comments in it as well. There is an episode of In Tenebris, which is Latin for in darkness, and I'll post the link for those who haven't seen it, where I do get a little bit grumpy, being very G-rated here, very grumpy. But the intent was to, firstly, I was investigating with people that I trusted. Secondly, I knew the location really well. And thirdly, I wanted to see whether or not this particular method was actually going to entice some sort of communication. Some would probably look at that and go, oh, I don't know, that could actually be abusive. And I was getting quite angry. I was actually shaking. My voice was quite angry. And but we weren't getting anything happening up until that point. We were getting some answers through a Ouija board that was being used at the time. I had my back to it, so I actually couldn't see what was happening, facing a dark hallway. You do something each day that scares you. But we had some really interesting information come through as well. But I'll post the link as well. So in that point of view, I personally wouldn't call that abusive. I would call that provoking. And I have intent. I've got a reason behind it. It's because of the location, because of what I know. I would never sit there and go, bleep, beep, beep, beep. They actually had to bleep a lot out of it anyway. But yeah, no, I think there is a time and place, and that's certainly not a time and place that you can do that for as well. So there's that too. As I said, it depends on location, intent, how you feel about it. In that particular, when is it too far? I think is when the abuse becomes uncomfortable. When you're actually in there and you're like, this doesn't feel right. This is insulting. It's not. There's no proper reason for it. It's not even like you're trying to do a reenactment. And I've been in locations, and it's only ever been jails, to be honest. I think jails are probably the only place you could really let your hair down, because of the kinds, if we're looking at it from an afterlife perspective, it's the kinds of people that would have gone through those walls, what they would have said and done, and the things they would have done in their life. If you're going to try and reach the darkness, sometimes you have to become the darkness yourself. So, saying that kind of information, I would say that, that would be the closest. But again, I wouldn't even call it abuse. It's more of I want to talk to you. I want to find out if you're here. And that to me is not an abusive thing, or not an abusive intent as well. Hi Cara, how's good to see you, sweetheart. So yeah, that's a couple of things to think about. I think too far is when it gets insulting and it's uncomfortable. It does depend on the location a lot. You don't go into Art Maud's place and go, come at me, bro. Totally not, and definitely not for residual or private cases either. But again, as I said, there's a difference between abuse and there's a difference between provoking, and I would never use abuse. I think it's a horrible thing to do. Can't say I can't use the farting, because I think we've all kind of been there. Your bodies like totally take over when it's like 3 a.m, and sometimes you have no control over what's going down in Chinatown. So but again, if it's intently done, then no, I don't know. It may not be the dead that will be complaining. It's probably more the living. But hello, Nicole. So yeah, there's a couple of things to think about. I think there is a too farness with it as well. We just have to be respectful. And of course, I think it falls back on the kinds of your reasoning and your intent on why you're choosing to investigate. Anyway, beautiful people, thanks so much for watching. Again, use the comment section below. Let me know what your thoughts are. Have there been times where you've been in an investigation where it's felt really uncomfortable because of what somebody was saying or how they were questioning it, or you've heard or seen stuff and you've gone, oh, that's a bit hardcore, I don't know. So let me know in the questions and experiences and comments below, and I will actually post the link to the In Tenebris episode where I did with beautiful people of Moonlark Media, and see what you think. Take care.